We've got something very special for you this week. A couple of months ago, we introduced a brand new podcast, and it's also appearing on radio, American Family Radio, on over 200 stations nationwide, called Pirate Money Radio. I hope you'll tune in. You can see it at piratemoneyradio.com. But I also wanted to share with you one of our episodes just to give you a flavor for it. We cover incredible topics, like we covered the U.S. debt as a national threat. We did that, but we do it conversationally. Mike Carter and I have been co-hosting this show. It's exciting. We've got the economic impact of illegal immigration. We go in depth. It's an hour-long program. Inflation is worse than the government is reporting. The dangers of DEI, navigating economic uncertainty with faith and preparedness. We've talked about pirate money itself, and then most recently how to have a game plan for your investments. I want to share this one special episode with you, and I hope that you will tune in to Pirate Money Radio on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Central, or in anywhere you find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, it doesn't matter. We're on all the channels. Enjoy Pirate Money Radio.
Welcome to Pirate Money Radio with your host, Kevin Freeman, helping you unpack the economic headlines and providing real money solutions.
Hey, happy Saturday and welcome to Pirate Money Radio. I'm here with Mike Carter, my colleague. Hey, Mike, how is your weekend going?
Not just the weekend. The entire week has been fantastic. We've been at the Convention of Texas and talking pirate money all week, testifying at committee hearings, getting people rallied up. We're going to have some more important updates from this even as we go into next week, but this is a can't miss show.
Yeah, no, it's an educational process as we're educating legislators about what they can do to protect your money, how at the state level they can protect your money. So let me ask, we're pirates here, arg, yo-ho-ho, and, pirate treasure and all that.
Though.
Yeah, good pirates. All right, so here's a question. Pirate money it's multiple choice. A, the name of my most recent book. B, the foundational money for America. C, a state-based solution for the debt crisis. D, gold doubloons and pieces of 8. Or E, all of the above.
Well, at first I'd say this is so easy, it has to be a trick question. But then I'm thinking, if I'm an audience member and I just heard about pirate money for the first time, I might say, what? The foundational money for the USA? Pirate money? Are you serious?
Yeah, no, absolutely serious. We talk about dollars here in America, right? The dollar is the foundation of our money. Well, that came from a Spanish term, the Spanish milled dollar. It was also known as a piece of 8, and its companion, the gold version of it, was worth 16 times as much, and it was called a gold doubloon. And when you hear the term gold doubloons and pieces of 8, what do you think?
I think of pirate money.
That's right. You think Captain Jack Sparrow or Long John Silver or Buccaneers or whatever. How about that? Do you remember the Hardy Boys, the books?
I do remember those. I think my wife might remember those better. I think she was more of a Hardy Boys fan.
Well, I read them as a kid. Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, they were detectives. They were kid detectives. But now, if they remade them, they would be the Hardy People, maybe?
Oh, that would really take away. So,
all right. So there was a Mickey Mouse Club would do the Hardy Boys books, and they do little serials of them, like the old serial back in the 50s. I know they did this. Do you remember that? They had one of them was like Applegate's Treasure, and they had, hey, producer Rich, do we have that to where we can play the clip from the Hardy Boys Treasure? Just a little bit to hear what they talked about pirate treasure.
I remember the empty treasure chest, and I was thinking maybe I could find some treasure somewhere out there.
Yeah, there it is. I've been looking throughout the attic for treasure. Haven't found it yet.
Doubloons and pieces of 8, handed down to Applegate from buccaneers who fought for years for gold doubloons and pieces of 8, handed down in a pirate's chest, the gold they sailed for east and west, the treasure bright that made men fight, till none were left to bury the chest. So now the gold and pieces of 8 all belong to Applegate. The chest is here, but wait. Now where are those gold doubloons and pieces of 8, pieces of 8, pieces
Don't you wish
of eight.
Disney was making healthy stuff like that? You know,
Brings back wholesome kind of sound memories just hearing that. I remember being at my grandma's house and that kind of theme being in the background out there as the TV was on. But, as we start to look for that treasure, that empty treasure, we did create a treasure map that might help people find this pirate money we're talking about.
That's true. We've been handing these out at the convention, a treasure map that walks through how you get from Jekyll Island, where we were shipwrecked in 1913, to the treasure, and the treasure is state-based economic freedom. And the way to do that is pirate money.
Pirate money. And there is true treasure there. There's true economic liberty as we get this legislation passed, not only in Texas, but in multiple states out there. And the people listening to this radio are going to be the ones that help make this happen in their states by sharing this message. And if you hear it on the radio today, I was just looking at some of the show prep here. I'm like, man, this is great. I hope everybody hears it because we're getting into real solutions today. And you might be in the car thinking, oh, man, I wish somebody else could hear it. This is on podcast. Anywhere you can listen to your favorite podcast, listen to this show, send it to your friends, and build this momentum in your state.
It could be Apple, Spotify, AFR. Mm-hmm. It's available a lot of places. Check us out on your favorite podcast. Share this. But what we're talking about is pirate money. And some people look and say, pirate money? Aren't pirates criminals? I don't like pirates. And they forget that John Paul Jones, the founder of the American Navy, was a pirate. They forget that the Boston Tea Party was an act of piracy, according to the British. What it is standing up actually for economic justice. There's a whole chapter in my book, Pirate Money, titled Economic Justice. And the Bible says a lot about justice, particularly economic justice. Leviticus 19:35 and 36, New King James says, "You shall do no injustice in judgment, in measurement of length, weight, or volume. You shall have honest scales, honest weights, an honest ephah, and an honest hin. I am the Lord your God."
Honest ephah, what is that?
All right, so I had to look it up. I got to tell you, I had to look it up.
Honest
An
ephah.
honest ephah.
Some kind of camel?
Here it is. An ephah in the Bible is a measure of capacity for dry goods, things like flour and wheat, measuring them out by volume rather than weight. It's thought to be equivalent to around 30 liters or 8 U.S. gallons. Bottom line is a measurement.
Equal measures.
You got to have fair measurement. And when the dollar has lost 90% of its value since 1971 and 99% since it was introduced in 2013 as a Federal Reserve note, that doesn't seem all that honest. It seems like an unfair, unjust weight and measure. That's what we're talking about.
It does, but I'm sure the Federal Reserve is there to try and correct this wrong that's happened out there and probably on the right track to do that.
Funny you brought up Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is who creates our money. Now, how do they do that? Let's ask Jared Bernstein, the current head working for Biden of the Council of Economic Advisors, and he was with President Biden for 8 years as vice president, and he's with President Biden today as number one economic advisor. Let's listen to what Jared Bernstein says about how money is created.
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds, and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money, and then it uses that money to I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
Yeah, nothing confusion.
So that was the number one economic advisor for the Biden team.
Yeah, that's the top guy, and that's for a documentary where he was interviewed. It was Finding the Source of the Money documentary. It's a great clip that's run the rounds on YouTube.
Well, there's some good news here, Kevin. I brought in a special guest today that we had on the convention floor. We have George Washington in the studio today. I don't know if you saw him standing back here.
Yeah, no, we had him at our booth here at the convention. But Jared Bernstein, the advisor to the current president, not to that president, not the first president, it doesn't sound like he really understands what money is, where it comes from, how it's made, why the government is $35 trillion in debt. He seems very, very confused. But the good news is, I believe that he is on a perfect communication level for the current president of the United States. I think
they could be talking the same language.
Simpatico. We're buddies. We got this. We understand it. All right.
Well, wait. That's why our guest over here, it says, this is on George Washington. Now, we had a little fun with this. And again, if you're watching it, it's easier to see. But if you're on the radio, he's got a banner, George does. They're life-size. George Washington, well, almost life-size. It's time to use the pirate money clause in the Constitution. And to explain what that means, Kevin.
Well, we're going to have to take a break. But when we come back, we'll talk about the pirate money clause in the Constitution, why Jared Bernstein's understanding is way off base, but what the Federal Reserve is doing and how it is hurting you. We'll be back after the break.
Washington said paper money opens the door to every species of fraud and injustice. Jefferson said paper is poverty. Hamilton said to emit an unfunded paper as the sign of value ought not to continue a formal part of the Constitution. The founders hated paper money, so they put a pirate money clause in the Constitution for our state to use. Learn more at transactionalgold.com.